Hello, hello, hello. It's us. We're back, America. Me and him. Him, Will Johnson, the founder of United America First, and me, Barry Nussbaum at American Truth Project. Welcome back, everybody. It is a very, very news busy Thursday. We have a lot to talk about and some hints to drop about new stuff coming. Let's start off right away, Mr. Johnson. Your president, Joseph Biden Jr., just issued 1,500 pardons in one time. Oh my goodness. All commuted in a single day. And they're bragging the biggest single day of pardons in American presidential history. And more to come. They're not done yet.
Just getting started.
Holy moly, this is terrifying. And there are drug dealers and people serving 10-year sentences and so on. And the
Chinese
thing that,
spies.
thank you, there's Chinese spies that some have been caught, some are running around, some they
Yeah.
don't know where they are. They're
We're just gonna give you
all
a pardon.
free now. They're all
Just
pardoned.
really quick. You know what it made me think about? Oprah Winfrey. You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon. Everybody gets a pardon. Don't worry about it. You're all going home with a pardon today. So go ahead and commit the crime you want.
100%.
Wow.
So that brings me back to the Hunter Biden story, and I think we got to talk about it some more. And here's why. I almost feel like what happened today with pardon mania, and I don't know what else to call it. It's an insane number of pardons. Nobody's ever done anything like this. No American president has come close to this. I kind of feel, Will Johnson, that Biden did this to distract from what he did with Hunter. In other words, the Hunter Biden pardon, which is a blanket pardon for anything he might or might not have done since 2012, right? When Burisma started. He's not even pardoned for specific acts, for indictments, for crimes. It's a blanket pardon. It's a get out of jail. He could have killed 97 people and they can't prosecute him, right? It's a blanket pardon
Yes. And you know, they were
for
saying from
for
20,
federal crimes.
yes, from starting at 2012. And now a lot of people are asking the question, well, what else do we not know? What else is he covering up? Because we thought it was just going to be for the gun charge as well as the tax evasion. But apparently there's more than they're letting on. Let me remind everybody, Joe Biden, day one, he did an executive order to hide the SARS reports. They want to talk about that because
Explain real
he
quick.
knew
Wait a minute.
exactly how corrupt they were.
Explain real quick what that is, because somebody wrote last time. I don't know what that is.
The SARS report is suspicious activity report. Basically, when you're laundering money, or not even necessarily laundering money, let's say you're making deposits, humongous deposits, or you're getting deposits into your bank account, and there's no record exactly where it's coming from, it becomes suspicious activity. The banks, required by law, they're supposed to report these suspicious activities. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family had so many of them. Joe Biden did an executive order to hide all of them from Congress so they can't ask him about it. One of the biggest corruptions in American history, and they did it right under everyone's nose with the power of a pen, and no one is questioning it, really. So it all goes right back to this him doing a pardon for everybody. And Hunter pardon from 2014, like you mentioned, the beginning of Burisma, up until next year. Actually, it's 11 years. It's for 11 years because 2014 to 2024 is 10 years. But they're saying that he has a pardon up until next year. So, New Year's is coming around, Barry. He has to be able to party and have a pardon for his party coming up New Year's. He has something to celebrate. I have a pardon, so I got to be pardoned for it.
Well, let me just remind everybody of the promise made by Joseph Biden Jr. just in case you forgot.
Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You have.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Coming on the air with breaking news tonight. President Biden has made a decision to pardon his son Hunter ahead of the transfer of power to President-elect Donald Trump, according to a senior White House official with direct knowledge of the.
I think the legal term for this is liar, liar, pants on fire. The excuse given by the White House and Karine Jean-Pierre is circumstances changed. No, they didn't. Nothing changed.
No.
Except maybe more stuff was leaking out. The fact of the matter is, Hunter Biden is not a decent man. He's a drug addict. He's an abuser of women. He's an abuser of minors. He's an abuser of drugs and alcohol. He's now an artist that makes paintings out of feces. He's a disgusting, contemptible human being. And he was facing 20 to 30 years behind bars, which, by the way, had nothing to do with Burisma and payoffs from a whole bunch of different countries. It only had to do, Will, with his gun charges where he lied and his taxes where he lied. He was liable for hundreds of years behind bars.
There's people in jail right now, Barry, for the same thing. And they constantly said that there's no two-tier justice system. There's only one justice system, really. So what did we just experience? I think we just experienced a two-tier justice system, 100%. And now they're all giving the excuse. I'm pretty sure you've seen the videos with Adam Schiff saying that, oh my goodness, President Trump is going to pardon his children. They haven't been tried for anything. They just said Trump is going to do a blanket pardon for them for all the crimes that they committed. Well, what crimes did they commit? Well, we don't know yet, but he's going to do a pardon for them. This was what they were saying in 2020 about President Trump. And they were also saying that President Trump's going to do a pardon for himself during that time. For what? You receive a pardon because you've been convicted of a crime. In this case,
or at least indicted.
In this case, Joe Biden is handing out pardons for people that's more likely going to get arrested in the near future. So that's admission of guilt. And then Adam Schiff, he heard that his name was on the short list for the first round of pardons. He reached out to Joe Biden and said, take my name off of it, because it makes it look like I committed a crime. And you're trying to help me cover it up. Actually, he did commit a crime, and Joe Biden, that's the reason why Joe Biden's going to do it. Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, along with Fauci. We don't have to get into all of that. Everyone already knows the story, the background, the history. All right. Everyone already knows. But so why would their names even come up if they did nothing wrong? And then Bill Clinton goes on to The View. Did you see that? Bill Clinton goes on to The View.
My wife did nothing wrong.
and there was not a single email that she had that was classified. Not according to James Comey.
Who cost her the election? Who cost her the election by
exactly
to blurt that out? Well, I got to be honest with you. I really feel like the massive, and I mean that, the absurd amount of pardons that came out today are all to distract from the fact that there was just one pardon to Hunter Biden. So it kind of looks like if you want to bitch about something, you should go bitch about the 1,500 and ignore Hunter Biden, especially when they say, and there's a lot more coming.
Yeah.
I mean, is he just going to empty the prisons like they do in Venezuela?
More than likely, more than likely. The question I have is that I do agree with you that it's probably, a distraction to get people not to think about Hunter Biden, the pardon for that. But I think it's probably that, including a distraction from people not to talk about these drones that are flying over New Jersey and flying over military facilities, not just in the United States of America, but overseas. What is that about? And so he has time to do 1,500 plus pardons and more to come, but they don't have time to investigate these drones. Hello? It's like a hot air balloon. It's just commercial, everybody. Pay no attention. We'll tell you after they're done doing their work.
Well, I got news for you, my friend. It is December 12th. We've got a week and a month to find out what else is coming because I don't think the Democrats are done yet. Do you?
No, not at all. I've said it multiple times. We're going to be on a wild roller coaster ride from now until January 20.
Will Johnson, there's a guy named Harif El Mekki. He's an advisor to the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. This guy is a Black Panther organizer. I didn't even know those guys were still around. His family ties are from Iran. He is a big proponent of segregated schools. Blacks have to be in their own schools. That's one of his proposal / themes. He's gotten $20 million from the state of Pennsylvania and nonprofits, including the Gates Foundation. Let me show you this fellow. That's him. He says that he has a vision where Black students are taught by only Black same-race teachers, and all teachers demonstrate a high level of expertise in being anti-racists, and that only Blacks can educate Blacks, and there must be absolute segregation. And that's the only way to, quote, upend white supremacy and a racist history of using education as an oppressive social force. Meanwhile, Bill Gates gave him $1.4 million. The Silicon Valley Community Foundation gave him 1.1. NBC Universal, Nike, Jeff Bezos, the University of Pennsylvania gave him millions more. He has trained 1,700 teachers in his racist philosophy. And get this, he gets paid $250,000 from the organization tax-free. He went to, as a child, a Black Panther freedom school where, well, they learned about Blacks needing to run the country, needing to be in charge of themselves, needing to be segregated, and so on. His family moved to Iran. He was educated in Iranian philosophy about government. His biography says how they loved the Ayatollah Khomeini, and he's a big follower of the biggest racist in America, Louis Farrakhan, and on and on and on. This guy is absolutely horrid.
So what happened?
Why would Josh Shapiro, who's Jewish, who's one of the most popular governors in the country, have a guy like this working for him?
Barry, because there's liberal Jews, there's liberal Blacks, there's liberal whites. It's liberalism. That's the key here. It's liberalism. This part of the reason why Kamala Harris was going to go with him as VP, but she didn't do it because he's a lot smarter than she is. Let's just
That's
be real.
what people said.
I mean, seriously. I mean, look, and to go along with your point, he's not a stupid person. He's an intelligent man. Why would he do this? Liberalism. When it comes down to it, liberalism. And I'm highly surprised that she still didn't. You know what? I don't know. I still think that she would have lost, but she would have had a better chance of going with him. And part of the reason why I don't think they went with him, just really quick here, is because I think they're going to push him up on 2028. I think they're going to bring him to the forefront 2028.
Oh, there's
But
no
with
chance
but
there's no chance it's going to be Tim Walz.
yeah, oh no doubt. But stories like this, and he has this connection with these people that's pushing segregation. Hello, isn't that what the Democrats constantly saying that they're against? But you know what? They're actually not. They're actually going to their roots. The Democrat Party is the party of segregation. They didn't want black students going to school. They didn't want black people voting. And a lot of people, you actually brought it to my attention, and I didn't even know this when Martin Luther King was marching. It was Jewish people marching with him. So these very same people that claimed they're for Martin Luther King would be against Martin Luther King when they find out that it was, I would have to go say, now you could probably have to correct me on this. They were conservative Jewish people walking and marching with Martin Luther King,
Well,
because
yeah,
Martin Luther
the
King was
pro-
marching against a Democrat.
yeah, the problem is those words don't work anymore. John Kennedy, who was assassinated in 63, called himself a liberal. Today, he'd be a conservative Republican. All right. Martin Luther King would be a conservative Republican today. Liberals of the old days are not the same as liberals of today. The Democrat Party has moved so far to the left. I mean, off
No,
the
I agree.
planet. You
I
know,
agree.
the Democrats of the 60s that were demonstrating for civil rights and equal voting and equal rights for women and blacks in schools and desegregation, those people today are Republicans. And you know who would have been fighting for segregation? Democrats.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
really
he's
hard.
still fighting. He's pushing for it for today. I mean, for him to be associated with this guy, I mean, what do you say?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying the labels of the old days don't work anymore. You and I have talked about this 100 times. The Republican Party is the party that voted to free the slaves. Every single Democrat in the Congress voted against freeing the slaves.
Yep.
Period.
Yes.
And
100%.
when you start studying the history, it's disgusting. And the Democrat, oh, we're the party of the minority. No, you're the party of segregation. You're the party of slavery. You're the party of subjugation. The
Yeah, and then
Republicans wanted people to be free.
exactly, and today they turn around and say, "Well, the party switch." I've heard that so many times, and I asked the question. So let me ask you the question: exactly when did the party switch? Oh, it was over a period of time. Really? So it was over. So it was. It wasn't one thing that caused them to switch. No, there was no switch. The only thing that switched, and I've probably said this before to you, the only thing that switched were the tactics that the Democrats used to control people. That's the only thing that switched. Did it switch before or after Martin Luther King? I asked him that question. Did it be switched before or after? And they go, well, it switched after. Really? So you admit that Martin Luther King was marching against Democrats. He wasn't a Democrat. You're
Well,
admitting that he was marching against them.
remember when he's marching in Alabama, who was the governor? Lester Maddox. These people, and a Democrat. These were hateful,
Yes.
Southern Democrat segregationists, right? That were breaking heads and turning loose German shepherds. They were all Democrats, right? With the fire hoses on children and women, to keep them from registering in schools.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
look at George Wallace, Democrat, ran for president as a Democrat. And what was his slogan? Segregation, now and for forever, right? That's what they believed in.
And you know what? Even today, the Democrats have just become, what's the word? Very convincing, right? They become convincing that they want to help the small man. They want to help the woman. They want to help the minority. Now they want to help illegals, and now they want to help men going to restrooms. And now come on, they want, they want to help everything that is wrong in the country, in the world.
We got more of it. We got more of it. This is going to blow you away, I think. We've talked about DEI 100 times, and I keep saying the closer we get to the Trump presidency, the more DEI is dead. Diversity, equity, inclusion. The idea that you go woke, you go broke. Decisions in hiring and advertising and consumerism should be based on the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, your heritage. It has nothing to do with merit, right? Well, just when you think it's dead and buried, whoo, boy, the biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the world comes out with something I couldn't believe. Now, this is after Lexus, Toyota, Home
Tractor.
Depot, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, right? A number of universities, Ford
Walmart.
Motor Company, they've all decided DEI is dead. And
Yes.
then along comes this from Google.
So dry. This winter dryness is not it, especially when I have so many holiday looks to pull off. Thankfully, I know just the thing. And it's in stock nearby. Hydrated skin is a gift to everyone. No wrapping needed. Happy holidays to me.
Happy holidays to me. You know, the Dylan Mulvaney thing destroyed billions in market cap for Budweiser, right? Billions. And Budweiser is still trying to escape from that disaster of a year ago. Supposedly, they offered Sylvester Stallone some unbelievable amount of money to endorse Bud Light. And he goes, keep your money. I'm not going to help save your woke company. Way to go, Sly Stallone. Google is facing an avalanche for this ad. Does this make you want to shop with Google? I mean,
I didn't even.
they're appealing to 0.25% of the population that behaves like that.
1/4 of the 1%. You know, I didn't even know that Google had that shopping like that going on. And I most definitely now, I didn't know about it. I do know about it now, and I'm still not going to shop it. And I guarantee that people watching it, they're not going to shop it. They'll go give Jeff Bezos money before they're going to give it to Google. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, come on. And the only reason why they're doing it because Google is filthy rich, and they can take the hit, and they don't care. We'll take the hit, and their objective, my personal opinion on this, their objective is to push it out there, and to try to get that momentum built back up to get it going because it took a devastating blow. And you know the devastating blow to the DEI, not just people waking up, but President Trump winning the election. DEI died November 5th.
Yeah, and it's going to be buried on January 20th because
Yes,
the guy going to run the military, Pete Hegseth, said it's done. There will never be DEI in the military again. And they're Elon Musk and
Vivek
Ramaswamy are going to kick DEI out of government hiring on day one. It's over in a month and 8 days. Yay. And in the meantime, you know where to get your perfume on Google.
Oh my goodness.
There's a climate activist in Europe who has become famous for two things. One, her profound lack of education. She finished, I believe, the 8th grade. And number two, her idiotic statements about every lunatic left-wing project in the country of Sweden and then expanded into Europe and now the rest of the world. Greta Thunberg, besides getting awards like Anti-Semite of the Week a few months ago, has transformed her platform into profound hatred for all Jews and profound hatred for Israel. She finally made it to 21. She gets arrested every couple of weeks. Nothing ever happens to her because the next week she's at another demonstration. She is now demonstrating with students against the occupation in Gaza, of which I don't even know what to say anymore. There really isn't. She wants Copenhagen University to cut ties with Israel. She wants all programs changed. She wants Israel isolated. Let me show you her brilliant speech of the other day to get an idea of where she stands.
Israel.
Frick Israel, frick Germany, unbelievable. And she keeps getting arrested and waving, and nothing ever happens to her, so there are no consequences. So they let her out in time to go to the next rally, wherever that is, where she can spout out similar hatred about something she knows nothing about, people who she doesn't know anything about, but it keeps her famous.
Yeah. When you get arrested like this so many times, is there ever a court appearance that you have to attend to? Or do
She
you
has she has the best lawyers that keep going in and making deals with these left-wing, very, very, very liberal judges that get her off repeatedly. She never gets prosecuted for anything. Really anything, even inciting a riot. They don't prosecute her, which obviously she was doing, you know? It's extraordinary how ferociously anti-civilization she is, and yet nothing happens to her.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the poster child for evilness for real. Most definitely. I don't know, I don't ever see her stuff. I know every now and then they'll post something and it'll pop up, but for the most part, I completely forget about her. Just like a couple other people. There's so much happening in the world, and I think the reason why she's doing it is exactly what you said, so that her face will constantly be out there, so that she will try to remain famous. I think that's the only reason why she's doing it, because all of the stuff that she's putting for has been debunked. No one is believing it. So they're trying to create this whole movement for it. And she's an opportunist at that at the same time. She's jumping on whatever movement that she can that goes against humanity for the most part.
And she fits in perfectly. And maybe at some point she can go back to school and start at the 9th grade and keep going. Maybe get an education. Will Johnson, the news of the week is the acquittal in New York of a 26-year-old man who was just acquitted of negligent homicide, intentional homicide, in the death of 30-year-old Jordan Neely. This guy was on a train, a subway train. A young black gentleman came on the train out of his mind on drugs, screaming, "I'm going to kill somebody today." That's what he was yelling. I don't know who it is yet. I know I'll go to jail for the rest of my life, and that's okay. And the jury verdict came out not guilty of second-degree manslaughter, not guilty of negligent homicide, and he was set free. Mr. Penny, Daniel Penny, is the Marine who, well, I'll show you what he looks like, who in a number of interviews with Judge Jeanine and some other people said if he didn't intervene to stop this guy from attacking people on the train that were screaming and scared to death, and he killed somebody, he said he would never have been able to have lived with himself. Now, this has become racially charged, and here's what I mean by that. The guy that died in the chokehold, who was out of his mind on drugs, 43 previous arrests. This guy is a professional criminal, drug addict, and mentally
Sounds like Greta.
unbalanced. Mentally unbalanced. This guy actually went to court 43 times, served time a number of times, and announced, I'm here, I'm going to kill somebody on this train. Everybody panicked, and Mr. Neely was corralled by Mr. Penny, and two other guys helped Mr. Penny corral him. Both were black. So you have a white guy and two black guys holding this guy down until the police came. And then he later died, probably a combination of drugs and fighting strenuously. He said that I've never heard of this kind of drug, but apparently it gives you like massive strength. So even though you're not a big guy, you have all this adrenaline, and then it burns out your heart and you can die literally of a heart attack. The jurors were unanimous in dismissing the charges, and many of them said they would have done exactly the same thing that Mr. Penny did. But what's happening now is that, and this is weird, Black Lives Matter, which I didn't even think was a thing anymore, has just put out, we need some black vigilantes. People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same thing when they attempt to oppress us? I watched that interview live. I just grabbed a screenshot of it. The guy that was making that speech is named Hawk, and he wants blacks that follow him roaming New York, finding white people to kill in retribution. This has now become racism when it had nothing to do with race. Zero.
Yeah.
The people on the train were black, and two of the people that held the guy down were black. They didn't get charged, just Mr. Penny did. You want to guess the name of the prosecutor?
Fat Ivan Braggs.
Bing, 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 bing. Yes, sir.
You know,
Fat Albert.
Penny, to my understanding, Penny has a lawsuit against him now because of this, rightfully so, and he should sue him big time. I mean, really, because this case should have never gone to court in the first place, and they know it. He knows it, and he only did it because they wanted it to be racially related. They use this because they want to target white people as they normally do. Now, this is a question that I have, because I've been saying this quite often, that Daniel Penny is a hero. He really is. Barry,
I think so.
Barry, if my loved one, be it my mom, my sister, my niece, wife, cousin, whatever, my loved one, family member, friend of mine, coworker, if they are riding on the subway, I want a Daniel Penny to be there. I do. And then it made me think about this because, I did a little small video on TikTok, just going on there because, they kind of get a little triggered, and on TikTok, you can take pictures and put them behind you. And I put Daniel Penny behind me. Right. And while I was doing it, of course, a whole bunch of black people, and they're complaining that I'm calling Daniel Penny a hero. And I said, let's think about this really quick. All of you kept complaining about police brutality. All of you kept complaining about there's too many police officers. All of you kept wanting to defund the police officers. All of you kept saying there should be less police officers. So I think we're all in agreement now that we should have more police officers on the subway and less people like Daniel Penny. Which one do you want? Because if we had a whole bunch of police officers on the subway, Daniel Penny would have just been a spectator. But no, that's not what you want. So you can't complain when Daniel Penny steps up, when any sound-minded American or sound-minded person, it's not even have anything with America, had nothing to do with color. Any person that sees someone else being harmed, being attacked, we should expect others to step up and help. And that's all that he did. He stepped up and helped.
That's the good Samaritan law. It's taught in the Bible. You can't walk past somebody being hurt, Will. It's your job as a human being to step up and help them. Because if you don't, where's your humanity?
You know, I've seen these videos. I'm pretty sure you remember seeing them too. It was a few years back where they were doing the knockout game. You seen those? Typically what it'd be an elderly white person, male or female, and it would be a group of black young youth walking up to him, and it would get it on camera, and they would hit him to knock him out, and then it would take off. But you didn't hear the government, state media. You hear anyone complaining about that. No marches from BLM out there in the streets saying, stop doing this. And here's another catcher, Barry, if I can. Jordan Neely. He had been out on the street for many, many years. BLM all of a sudden come out the woodwork saying that this is racially related. Remind everybody, BLM took in about $100 million, and they knew Jordan Neely needed assistance. They didn't take any of that money when he was still alive to help him.
Oh, he has mental health problems. Absolutely.
And you know, and I just learned this too, that he actually saw his mother get chopped up.
Oh boy.
At a young age. So can you imagine what that would do to someone's mind?
Oh,
they knew that he was unstable. They didn't do anything to get him help. And now you have his family members coming out. Oh my goodness, how much money we get out of this? Oh my goodness, this is so bad. How much money again? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. That's what they're doing. Because if they actually cared, they would have been trying every single day. Barry, if my child is hurting like this, and I'm the father, I'm going to try every day, every other day. I'm going to continue to try. And sometimes it's tough love. Sometimes you have to let him go. He let the child go. So you can't go in and try to grab the child now. That how much money are we getting on this again? You know, that's what it's about. I hate to say it, but that's what it's about for him.
You're right. You're right. And by the way, the father of Mr. Neely, the dead guy, is also suing Daniel Penny for wrongful death. And he hasn't seen his kid in years.
Yeah. How much money we get out of this? How much money again? How much money? Absolutely. They're okay. They want money. That's sick.
Of course.
That's sick. That's sick. If he wanted his child, he would try to go find his child and help his child. All of these arrests, who failed who here? Who failed who? The city failed Jordan Neely.
43 times.
Yeah, BLM failed Jordan Neely. Who failed who here?
100%. Well, you remember we talked about Jaguar a couple shows ago with their really bizarre commercial with no cars in it, just like a whole bunch of cross-dressing transsexual bizarros looking like Teletubbies. I guess, the Teletubbies.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yep.
Purple and red and blue, and they make weird noises and they jump around. And that's basically what the commercial was. Well, people were complaining that Jaguar never showed any cars. Jaguar's now showing their first car. And I got to show you this because when you see it, I don't think you want to buy it. So they went from the Teletubbies to throwing out all their car brands. And now their first car that they came out with is pink. Now, Jaguar was the masculine sports car of secret agents. And, everybody dreamed of owning a Jag. It was the cool car of the upper class. And someday you'll save up for this beautiful sports car handmade in England. Oh my gosh, they have literally toasted the reputation in 2 weeks of this iconic British company. And from what is being reported in like Auto Week, thousands and thousands and thousands of pre-orders of Jaguar cars canceling. People don't want to have anything to do with it. This has become Bud Light of the car business.
Yeah, Bud Light on wheels.
And truthfully, this may be the end of Jaguar.
It may be. You know what? Bud Light, I've had a Bud Light in my lifetime. I don't drink now. You know, if I buy a 6-pack of beer, whatever it is, it will sit in my refrigerator for 6 months, 8 months, expire, and I have to throw it away. That's how much I drink. But I have in the past, you know, I was younger. Everyone was younger, and I had a couple of beers, social gathering, and I've had Bud Light. You know, I've been to ball games and stuff and had one, and no, it was decent beer. Jaguar, I've been in Jaguars. I never owned one. I've even looked at one in the past about, maybe purchasing one, and I've kind of wanted one in the future. And I'm like, it's a really nice vehicle. I mean, they muscle too. I mean, they're fast. They get up on them. But it's like now I don't want the beer, even though it still might be tasteful beer. Don't want it. Don't want the vehicle, even though be honest with you, I like the style of the vehicle, just the color and the wokeism that they're pushing with it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And that's where the problem comes. People were pre-ordering, like you said, and now they're canceling them, saying, look, this is not, I don't want to drive this vehicle around, and people got this impression of me in this vehicle that I'm going along with that nonsense. And people are like, nope, no, thank you. And see,
I don't want to be, I don't want to be a transsexual Teletubby. No, thank you. There are other car brands. I have other choices. Bye, Jaguar.
I mean, just leave it. Just, you know what? Just show the vehicle. You know what? The vehicle probably been really nice in all black, or just, all white, or even red. Just red. Just pick some neutral colors, put it out there, and then if someone that lives a certain lifestyle want to go buy the vehicle, then hey, by all means, I'll sell it to you. I don't need to know what you do when you leave. I don't need to know, but they want to say, hey, this is what we're all about, and we want you to be about it too. So if you drive this vehicle, you endorse it. Yeah, no.
And you notice they picked pink.
Yeah.
To match the Teletubbies commercial of last week.
Hot pink.
Go woke, go broke. Yep. Buy Jag. I don't mean B-U-Y, I mean bye-bye. The civil war in Syria has had a dramatic change. The Assad regime is gone after 50 plus years. No one's sure how many people they killed, mostly their own citizens. The estimates, according to the UN, are 580,000 people. Other estimates place it well over 1 million. 90% were civilians. What did the UN do about it, Will, for the last 50 years? Nothing. What did the EU do? Nothing. What did the United States do? Nothing. However, during that time, where there were no intentional murders in Israel, Israel's been condemned hundreds and hundreds of times in the United Nations. So now, Assad is gone. The Iran billions that they poured in to prop up Hezbollah and Syria are gone. Bashar al-Assad has flown secretly to Moscow. And there he is being greeted by his benefactor, Vladimir Putin. The guy in the right is mass murderer Bashar al-Assad. The short guy on the left is mass murderer Vladimir Putin. So, of course, they get along well. What should be noted is the Assad family owns over 20 luxury properties in Moscow, valued at over $30 million, opulent apartments, and their fortune came largely from what they could embezzle from aid coming into Syria and industrial level production of Captagon, which is an addictive and amphetamine used to keep people awake and keep them perpetually stoned, which is what they used to give to their own troops. Very big on the party scene in the Middle East. So it's really bad. And nobody's condemning Russia for taking him in. And nobody is saying we've got to extradite him for mass murder. And Syria is virtually destroyed.
Yeah.
That's what happened this week.
Yeah. You know, when I saw this story, I said, man, I want to know what Barry, what his insight on this, because to my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that when this took place, Israel actually started taking out some other locations in Syria that's harboring these terrorists. Because with him gone now, not that it was already a pleasant location, this just means that you're going to get Hamas, ISIS,
Al-Qaeda.
Taliban, Al-Qaeda. They're already, to my understanding, setting up shop. And it will become,
every group you just mentioned, 100% correct, is moving in and setting up shop, and they all
how did
have
I
their
know? I
troops
see.
there.
For me, it makes sense because they said, okay, now we can go in there and set up shop. They will have easier access to attack Israel, and Israel has another battlefront that it has to deal with now because of this. Not that they weren't already dealing with it, but now it's become a forefront war, right? That they have to deal with now because they know they want to use this location to attack Israel. They don't want to take the location and become peaceful people and say, look, let's just prosper. Let's build buildings. Let's create jobs. Let's be successful. Let's do manufacturing. Let's grow food. Let's be energy independent. No, they don't want to do that. See, everything I just listed was like, oh, you know what? That actually sounds wonderful. I mean, why not do that? Let's not worry about what Israel's doing. Let's just be peaceful. Let's just go ahead, have families, party, be prosperous. Sounds wonderful, but that's not their intention. That's not what they have in mind. They have they have a goal to destroy Israel, and that's the only thing that matters to them. Nothing else. And they want destruction all over the planet. And as you mentioned, and other people have mentioned, they won't stop with Israel. They want to find Jewish people no matter where they are on the planet, because they believe by doing this that they can bring the end of the world and usher in what they call, their apocalypse.
Well, yeah, and that brings in the Magi, which is the last
the
Imam.
Magi.
Yeah.
Does the Magi come out of the sewer, the well?
They don't say where he comes from, but he's the last Imam, and that he will rule the world when everyone is a Muslim. And it takes the end of the world to usher in that. I'll tell you what, you think I'm changing the subject, but I'm not. And there are people in Canada trying to get that done today. How bad has it gotten in Canada, Will Johnson? Trudeau's government has let in so many Muslim radicals that you have massive rallies with big crowds chanting death to Canada, death to America, death to Israel, and the police do nothing. Think I'm kidding? Look at this pro-Hamas rally last week.
Do not wonder how revolution could possibly be done. Men who have never known a free day, who have lived their entire lives under the thumb of one of the most powerful settler colonies in the world, built paragliders to fly over a wall so high that it blocked out the sun when you stood underneath it. Do not wonder how revolution can be done. We must do it. Death to Canada. Death to the United States, and death to Israel. Death to Canada. Death to the United States, and death to Israel. Death to Canada. Death to the United States, and death to Israel.
That's Canada. Nice, pleasant, friendly people like America, Canada.
Well, you
Well,
know,
they're here now, buddy.
oh yeah,
They're here. They are
oh yeah.
here.
And you know what? I've actually brought up, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the Democrats, they were flying a lot of them into the United States of America as well. So they're here in America, they're in Canada. And I think you and I have had the discussion before between now and January 20th. I suspect that we're going to see something from them. Now, I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. But it would not surprise me if they go ahead and make the phone calls to activate them. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It would not surprise me. And Barry, how is that not inciting violence? How is that not inciting violence? They will go and arrest now here in the United States of America and even Canada. It actually go both ways. They will arrest people for peacefully, not even yelling, not throwing rocks, not calling for anyone to be harmed, but they will arrest people and put them in jail for simply protesting against an abortion clinic.
Well,
They
in
put 'em in
England,
jail. Same thing in Canada.
in England, if you stand on the sidewalk in front of an abortion clinic and
Yes.
think a prayer,
Yes.
they can arrest you.
Yes. Yes.
You hear what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
think, you think
Yep.
it.
If you pray silently, they will arrest you for praying silently in front of an abortion clinic. But here, they're actually calling the death of people in America, Israel, Canada. Oh, that's just freedom of speech. Nothing to see here. It's inciting violence and they're radicalizing people.
You're right. And when you see that literally in Canada and realize it's right next door, that's terrifying. It truly
Yes,
is.
really.
I'll tell you something. We touched on this a minute ago. Now that Syria is free of the Assad regime that for 50 years was killing Syrians in the hundreds of thousands, the question is who comes next? Who's going to lead the country? The guy that is currently in charge is a guy named Ahmad al-Shara'a. He goes by his nom de guerre, his guerrilla name, which is Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. Let me show you what he looks like. Kind of looks like Borat in that movie, The Dictator, but that's really the guy. He used to be part of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and now his group is called HTS, and supposedly he's a moderate Muslim. However, they have put out a book that justifies from the Quran burning alive its enemies. Doesn't sound very moderate to me. And I have on my screen that I'm looking at all of the justifications. If you capture somebody, you can burn them alive as a form of punishment. The current booklet that they're circulating is called, quote, The Ruling on Burning with Fire. It's a couple dozen pages, and it cites all the reasons why Allah says you can burn people to death. And it was written in the 14th and 15th century. And it gives examples of all these people that they have captured over the years and burned alive, like a Jordanian pilot in 2015 was burned alive because he had bombed an ISIS target. It's horrific what these people do. And this is the guy that the United States says is now in charge in Syria. How scary is that?
He's lying about being moderate. He's lying. And I've heard this before, but I'm told that they are commanded to lie for the agenda.
It's part of the religion. You are supposed to lie to the unbelievers until you're strong enough to vanquish them.
So when you vanquish them, they won't even hear the truth at that point.
Well, no,
So-
then that means you've killed them.
Yeah, that's my point. They won't hear the truth. So at what point do you tell? If you have the truth, wouldn't you want to share the truth with them? So then they would come to realize. But they just want to they want to strong arm people to join on their side and don't question them. Kind of sounds like the Democrat Party.
In Sharia, it's called taqiyya, and I'll read it to you. And it's called the concept of lying in certain circumstances where a Muslim might need to conceal their beliefs to avoid persecution is called taqiyya. It literally translates to dissimulation or concealment. It's a way to keep whatever you are wanting to do a secret until it isn't. You're commanded to lie. Lovely. So when this guy says, I don't have any intentions about Israel, it's because they haven't conquered all of Syria yet, and they don't have the weapons yet, and they don't have the uniforms yet, and they don't have the training yet. Wait 6 months and see what happens.
Yeah. And now that they're moving in, 6 months from now, probably even less than that. Isn't it interesting that all of this is happening right before President Trump goes back into office too? Is there a connection there?
His desk is piling up. The Resolute desk in the Oval Office is going to be 6 feet high with stuff to accomplish on January 20th. Don't you think?
Oh my goodness. Yes. I keep interested in wondering what the first 100 days gonna look like. We always hear that, right? The first 100 days.
Right.
I'm interested in the first 100 hours. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to wrap it up with this. It was going to be comedy till I watched it. This is despicable. Jimmy Kimmel, the late night host, should lose his job over this. And I mean that literally. I'm not one for censorship. You know that. I'm not one to go after someone because I disagree with their political beliefs, but this crossed the line. And the line that was crossed is the following. The assassination of the gentleman that ran United Healthcare by this crazy guy, and I mean that literally, is being applauded in some places by some people who don't like healthcare providers, who don't like insurance companies, who don't like capitalism, whatever. Jimmy Kimmel, thinking this is funny, has led to massive, and I mean today, massive calls for his resignation. Here's why. Check this out.
Lorraine C. asks, do you guys think the United Healthcare CEO killer is hot? Friend replies, yes. I love Luigi. I think he's gay, though. This is an exchange between two of our producers. We'll call them Elphaba and Glinda. My TikTok is flooded. My mom chain's going nuts. That's my TikTok. Everyone is obsessed. People are saying a New York jury has the power to find him innocent because we all love him. I'm not mad at him. This one's from Susie D. She got hurt. This text from her mother. Am I the only person wondering that if the gunman had tweezed and reshaped his eyebrows, he would have never been caught? Aha, good point. His eyebrows are very defined. Next one. Please tell me you're as obsessed as I am with this handsome CEO killer. Yes, so many questions. Like, can I fix you? And Veronica says, I need him so bad. No, like so bad.
How despicable is that?
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're making jokes about the cold-blooded murder of a father, a husband, a CEO, a prominent American corporate executive, as if it was just a cartoon. And now you can see why there are massive numbers of people saying Jimmy Kimmel's got to go. This was way over the line. That is not funny.
Yes, they're pushing this guy, Luigi, as a hero and Daniel Penny as a criminal. Something that, I'm constantly, you've heard me say this before, something's wrong with our society. I mean, really, there's something truly wrong with our society. And did you know, Barry, that a lot of these CEOs, not just, to my understanding, not just the health, CEOs, organizations, CEOs across the board are removing their pictures from their websites
Oh,
because
so they're not, so they won't be targets?
this no, yeah, so no assassinations attempts. This is not just, see, a lot of people looking at, because they said that Luigi had, back surgery, so they're blaming it on his back surgery and because he had issues there and he had a bad experience with the health industry. I'm not buying that. I'm going along with, remember AOC said, eat the rich. A whole bunch of the left, eat the rich. Remember? They hate capitalism. You mentioned it. They hate capitalism. They hate rich CEOs. This is the reason why they're glorifying this guy, because they want more people to do what he did, not just to those in the health industry. They're using the health industry as an excuse to say, well, they're making all this money and they're denying us health coverage. That's what they're using the excuse for, but it's bigger than that, a lot bigger. They're wanting to go after all these CEOs. Besides, they didn't care. They were happy with these health companies when they were making it possible for people to transition. They didn't have any problems with the health companies then. And then when the health company was denying someone being detransitioned, they didn't have any problems with them denying health coverage then. They're a bunch of hypocrites. They're going after CEOs, and CEOs right now, they're removing their pictures off their website so that they don't know who they are.
I would
And
too.
they're encouraging it. They're encouraging it.
But it sure is a sad day in America, Will Johnson, that has to happen.
Yeah. And Jimmy Kimmel, you know what? I don't watch him. I don't care for him. He's a snake, a weasel, and he's a horrible person. I mean, that it's not even funny doing that. And they're glorifying it. They've made this dude into what do they call him? Like the
anti-hero.
Yeah, the anti-hero.
Yeah, despicable. We will be back next week. Just because we always come back, same time, same bat channel. I want to tease everybody. There's going to be some big news breaking. Not sure when we can release it, but if you want to get it first, go to findberry.com, findberry.com, sign up as soon as you can. Make sure you're on the mailing list. You'll get it for free. It will knock your socks off. You need to know what I'm talking about. Trust me on this.
Findberry.com.
Findberry.com. That'll take you to American Truth Project. You'll be on our mailing list and you'll get the news first. In the meantime, thanks for joining us today. As usual, we love you all and we will see you next week. Same place, same time as usual. Bye for now.